Good evening and welcome to Metro Focus. I'm Rafael P. Roman. There's a new name in local journalism here in New York, and the city is already breaking news on behalf of New Yorkers. The independent nonprofit news outlet is behind this week's story on the high-end tastes of Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance, including his use of asset forfeiture funds to pay for nearly $250,000 in meals and work trips. The city has also put out a special report titled The NYPD's Mental Illness Response Breakdown, which examines how the police department and the de Blasio administration are doing when it comes to the mentally ill. In the past 3 years, 14 mentally ill people have reportedly died at the hands of the police. This, as New York has also seen the number of emotional distress calls skyrocket and nearly double over the past decade. For a deeper dive into the issue, Jenna Flanagan spoke with the man who brought that story to the city, investigative reporter Greg B. Smith. And she began the conversation by asking about the crux of his report.
Well, I mean, the numbers are disturbing. So when you're looking at the 911 calls that come in to request police assistance to deal with what they call an EDP, which is an emotionally disturbed person. The calls have risen from 97,000 in 2009 to more than almost 180,000, 179,000 last year. Those numbers went up in every single precinct. So it wasn't just Penn Station. It wasn't just the Port Authority. It was East New York. It was, and particularly in the South Bronx. But what you see is a pattern where the number of these calls has gone up dramatically. And so we just wanted to take a look at what has the city dealt with this, because they've known about this for a long time. This is not news to them. And the NYPD, and let me make this very clear, this is not on the NYPD, because the NYPD, that's not their job, is to deal with the mentally ill. Their job is to try to deal with situations as they come up. And it is part of the de Blasio administration's approach is to try to pair the NYPD with mental health professionals to try to, when you're dealing with somebody in a very volatile situation sometimes, or certainly an unpredictable situation, you want as much knowledge on the street when you're dealing with this stuff. And that has been their promise, was to try to do this, to try to have essentially a better educated cop or mental health expert to deal with the situations as they unfold. So we wanted to look at how successful have they been since they've been aware of this situation, and that has been a big challenge. They've had a really tough time dealing with this.
Well, of course, and as you were saying, that's dealing with the mentally ill is not the job of the cops. And there have been some high-profile shootings, unfortunately, that we've seen where people have actually died at the hands of the police officers. And so what was it that you were finding in terms of how this was playing out in real time? Okay,
well, there's two parts to this. One of them is training. So you want to train a police officer to be able to understand. The idea is to de-escalate. When you go into a situation like this, it's in a lot of ways, it's very, it's unpredictable. So you want to be able to understand that you just don't go in there the way you're confronting a drug dealer or something, or some drug buyer. It's a totally different circumstance. So the NYPD has been trying to train police officers, and there's 36,000 police officers. These are uniformed people. They have said, the city has said, they're going to do everybody. They're going to train everybody, which is a good idea. But right now they're up to about 10,800. So what we're talking about here is they need to train them, and they've been doing this for 4 years now. So it's very slow, and it takes time, and eventually, I guess, that will be up to speed. That's one. Number two, they propose what they call co-responders, and co-responders are mental health clinicians who would accompany cops to deal with a situation. So they get a call, they call it a referral. And the referral is, we have a person in our program who is acting out, we need some police assistance, and they would send 2 police officers with a mental health clinician. It's a good idea. So the problem with it is they've barely used it, and they've had it in effect for 3 full years, And they've had approximately 1,900 referrals. Think about that, 1,900 referrals compared to 179,000 911 calls. Why? Because they deliberately kept it out of 911. Now, they decided to do that. They are now looking at it again and saying, maybe we need to put this into 911 and expand it so that you would then have somebody who knows how to deal with this situation accompanying the cops when they're dealing with this situation. And that's what they're trying to do now. But they're only now trying to do it.
Well, speaking of 911, there was a recent incident, I believe you were actually tweeting about it, in regards to a case of one gentleman who people in the neighborhood saw him acting erratically. They called 911, cops showed up, and thinking that he had a gun, and unfortunately he was shot and killed. But I believe our new Attorney General, Tish James, recently released a report indicating where the breakdowns were.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about that. So what happened was on April 4th, 2018, Saheed Vassell, 34 years old, bipolar, was walking up and down the street in his neighborhood, right around the corner from where he lives. Everybody knows him in the neighborhood. He's one of these guys who everybody knows, right? He would hang out at the barber shop, and he would, do little chores for people. He was not taking his meds, and he had a piece of metal pipe in his hand, and it sort of looked like a gun. If you look at it, when you see the video of it, you can see. And he was walking up to people and pointing it at them. And some of the people were like, they're New Yorkers. They're just like, oh, that's nice, and they kept walking.
Yeah.
But some of them were pretty freaked out. And it's a pretty freaky thing to see the video of this. So the calls start coming into the New York City Police Department. This is a great example of how the system needs to be fixed. You have 3 different people make 911 calls about Saheed Vassell, and all 3 of them are saying there's a guy walking up and down the street, and he's pointing what looks like a gun at these people. And the 911 dispatcher, is it a gun? I don't know if it's a gun. It might be a gun, but it looks like a gun. It could be a gun. And so now the 911 dispatcher then takes this information and relays it to the police department and the fire department. Now, this is where we get into communication breakdown. So there's 2 parts to this. There's what happens before an incident, and then what happens during an incident. So before the incident, they were relayed specific information about how it might be a gun. But that's not how it was conveyed. It was conveyed to the New York City Police Department as man with gun. So this is the information the cops get when they're sent over to the scene. So now they are thinking there's a guy with a gun. So that's the first part. The second part is one of the 911 callers specifically said he looks crazy. So that triggered an EDP call. However, and I still don't understand this, and I'm trying to figure out what happened here. It was not routed to the police department. Because it was labeled an EDP call, it went to the fire department. So none of the cops had any clue that this was an EDP call. When they showed up and pulled up into the intersection and saw this guy walking back and forth, and he turned around and pointed like this, his pipe at the cops, that was it. It was over. And they 4 of them shot him. And he was... a situation that perhaps could have gone in a different way if more information had been conveyed. Now, the cops, on the other hand, they had limited information.
And apparently not correct information.
Well, and so they're given a certain amount of information that they have to deal with. So Tish James, our new state attorney general, concluded her investigation and said that the cops were justified based on the information they were given and the circumstances that unfolded. So again, this system, there's something broken about it when something like this happens. And again, this is someone's son.
Yeah.
And again, I talked to his father, and his father is obviously heartbroken. I don't know how you ever get over something like this. And he said everybody in the neighborhood knew about this guy, like they all know him, and the cops from the precinct know about his situation. None of these cops had any idea. All we're trying to do at the city is to try to get people to focus on things that can be fixed if they're approached in a thoughtful manner. The de Blasio administration, to its credit, is focusing on this issue. But the problem with it is that the way it's been rolled out, it's not really functioning correctly. And I certainly think that the co-responder idea, the idea of having someone who has some sort of mental health professional background involved in these things, seems to be a good idea, but it is extremely limited. And I think that I know that just now they're beginning to look at expanding it. I think that's a good approach.
All right, well, of course, we'll look forward to more of your reporting, especially around an issue like this. We definitely want to see less shooting deaths from the cops, definitely in the city. So thank you so much for your work.
Happy to be here.